All right, so here we go. So later on today, you guys are going to get a printed picture of this elephant. And I have a few set of lines on here. So I have my grid lines in pink. And then I have these green lines where I've circled the areas where we're going to add a darker value. And even though I have these areas circled, I'm actually leaving these two areas alone, and the darker values are going around that. All right. When we start to add dark values, it starts to allow us to see the different parts of the elephant, and it pushes some parts of the elephant further away and pushes other parts closer to us. So when we add the dark values down here on the elephant's body, it's going to help to push the ear forward and the body backwards. It's also going to help to push the trunk forward. All right. And then up here, we sort of have three different sections of the elephant's face. We have its trunk, we have the side of its face where its eye is, and then we have its ear. And this area up here is also its ear. Okay. Notice in this area, there's dark values. And right here, we have lighter values, and that helps to push this forward and this back. Same thing with the ear. Along the side of the elephant's face, and up here in this part of the ear, you have dark values. So once we add those in there, it's going to push the ear further back, and it's going to pull this forward. All right. So I just wanted to point out those few things. Okay. Now, just like when we did value with our mini personal still life, I told you guys that you're going to want to squint to really get to see the different values. When you look at it with both eyes open, sometimes you're going to see values that just all look the same. But when we squint, we can kind of differentiate the values that we're seeing. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get started. What you guys are going to be using today is your erasers if you need it, and you're going to be using your black charcoal pencil. And the first thing that I want to do is kind of identify these areas where I'm going to be adding darker values just by kind of scraping my pencil across those areas to try just to identify them. So I'm going to go ahead and start up at the top here. So in this area, I have this sort of half oval shape that is dark, okay? And then I have this shape here that is also dark. Maybe there's a little bit of a space in between those. Over in this section, you can see that that value is super black or super dark. So I'm just going to kind of fill that in a little bit. And then I'm going to look at the shape that's going on up in this area, and I'm just going to lay this charcoal down in that shape or in that area, or to make that shape. And this is just a guide. I'm not worrying about what value is actually there yet. I'm just worrying about putting the shape there so I know that I need to continue to add values in this area. All right, I have this curve here because you can see we kind of have a triangular organic looking shape happening there. And then this dark value follows down the side of the elephant's ear. So I'm going to fill in this area. All right, going in between the trunk and the tusk as well. And this area in here is going to be pitch black. It's really going to help to make your tusk pop and stand out. And then I'm just going to continue to take my charcoal pencil. I'm going to come across the middle here. And I'm moving my pencil back and forth, but also in a circular motion. We're going to come down around tusk. Just scraping this pencil lightly across the areas. I'm gonna make them darker as I continue to go. We're just kind of outlining the areas that I see that are darker. And if all you guys do today is this, and if you want to just post this for today, I think that would actually work. So kind of just identifying the areas and posting that would be helpful for tomorrow. If any of you guys have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. I don't want to answer questions while I'm video recording, but if you have a question, put it in the chat so I can make sure I answer it at the end. You don't forget. All right. So these parts of the ear are the darker areas that I've shaded so far. Let's kind of hop over to this part of the side of the face. You have this area here where it almost looks like kind of a scar, but it's his wrinkles. And then we have this little bit of area here that kind of makes a triangle. Okay. And when I blend this down, it will get lighter. So if you're thinking I made something too dark, when I blend it down, it should make it okay. And then we have a little bit of a dark area here. And our trunk also gets darker in this area. So I'm going to fill in some of this area here. And when I blend this area down, I'm just going to get it to blend right into the value that we already have because we can't see any hard lines in there. Start that. And then lastly is this bottom part. And if you look at the photograph that I posted, in this area, the picture is pretty black. We can't see any details happening. So I would go ahead and press down hard with your pencil in this area. Oh, I'm getting to a point where I need to sharpen the pencil. And then I'm just going to kind of move a little quick here to fill up the rest of this space. And this bottom space here is going to be the darkest part of the elephant's, really the darkest part of the whole entire picture is down in this area. And once we get this bottom area kind of all nice and smoothed out, we can compare the rest of the values on the elephant to this area. All right, what time is it? So it's 10:14. Okay, so I'm gonna stop adding value here. My next step would be to take a paper towel, and what I've started doing is instead of crumbling up a whole big piece of paper towel like this, I've started to kind of pull off smaller bits, and it's easier to control if you can kind of hold the paper towel in your hand like this. And then what I want to do is I want to just kind of start to smooth out these values that I've added. And as soon as I'm done this, I'm going to stop because I think this is a good place to stop. And I think this is kind of what I want you guys to achieve first before we move on to the next step. Also know that same with the blending stick, when you're using your paper towel and it gets loaded up with charcoal, you start to kind of just move that charcoal around. And also, I tried to continue to use the blending stick, but what I found is when you try to use the blending stick in a large area, it doesn't really want to move anything. So guys, definitely rely on your fingers and rely on a paper towel to get this charcoal to blend a little bit better. And I like using the paper towel because as I'm pulling the charcoal, it starts to kind of blend into the medium gray that I already have a little bit. All right. Hold on, Ruben, 1 second. So I'm going to stop here. And what I want you guys to achieve is I want you to achieve identifying your dark values. And I'm going to say if you're able to do this within our office hour time, or if you're able to do this tonight, you can go ahead and post it today. But I am okay with you guys posting this tomorrow, and I think I'm actually going to change the due date to tomorrow. But I guess the one thing is it's going to be really important that you post at a reasonable time, because if you post way late tomorrow, like tomorrow night, I may not be able to give you feedback before class on Thursday. So just keep that in mind. All right?
Okay.